Hi everyone! So today I am going to work on the background and the skin, continuing from the hair from the last video. And as you can probably see, her hair is not done. And the reason for that is yesterday I spent 2 hours filming the skin and I thought it looked absolutely horrible. So I decided to start all over. So what happened was I had printed this off in the light version because I thought if I had lighter lines that it would look more realistic. And then when I got especially to the details in her nose and her eyes especially, I realized that it looked horrible. It didn't look the way I wanted it to look at all. So I have decided to start over. So with this one, I will do the skin, and then off camera, I will do her hair again. And then, probably the next video will be the dress. We might do both of their skin today, I don't know. So, but first, just because it's new, and I got it today from Walmart while I was grocery shopping, I want to use it. So I got they're all folk art. One is gunmetal gray, amethyst, and pearl white. And the gunmetal gray I thought more was like a bright like silver color, but it's more of like a almost black. So I don't think I'm going to use that one, because if I wanted black I would just do black. So the purple one is really pretty. I might just paint the background white. And I did kind of, I don't know if you can see it on camera without me kind of swatching it out. No, you can't see it. But it is shiny and it looks kind of like a pearl. So I'm wondering, I think I'm going to paint this black, and then if I want some shimmer on top of that, I'd have a different kind of, I don't know, I just want glitter. So, and we can always paint over acrylic paint. So I'm picking a color, and I'm going to use this one. You can use any paintbrush. If you want a border around it, you can tape it off. You can use any kind of paintbrush you want. I wasn't sure if I wanted to include this, but I have actually seen a lot of people post like, oh, how do I do an acrylic background on my coloring page? And for me, that it's common knowledge, but I think for a lot of people, they might have never done it before. Something that might seem simple to other people might not be that simple. Yeah, as I'm looking at this, I don't think I like it for the background because I think it is too translucent. But what I'm thinking is once this dries, I'm going to paint the whole background black and then go over it afterwards with this paint, because it's super translucent. Like I can even see the ink smudges. So if I do that, it might make a really pretty metallic black color. I guess in that case I could just use the gunmetal gray one. I don't know. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to talk about skin tone. So as of right now, I've been coloring for about 2 years, and I have never colored a different skin tone. I have basically colored, the same peachy tones, and I think people, they just tend to gravitate towards coloring their own skin. And I don't want to be like that. I want to kind of open up. So when we finish this, the Elven Romance picture, I think I'm going to do some videos where I talk about my process and how we can find colors for different skin tones. I've had a lot of people ask, and I think that's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. But for this video, okay, so this is the colors I use when I use my skin tones with Prismacolor. I use henna, light umber, blush pink, peach, light peach, salmon pink, clay rose, cream, and white. Now, I cannot fully take credit for this. I am not sure if it's exactly the same because I have added colors, changed colors, and it's been so long that I honestly don't know. But I think I originally got this from Kirsty Partridge, and she does, if you've never heard of her, look her up on YouTube, and she does some amazing colored pencil portraits and drawings and watercolor and all kinds of stuff. It's absolutely gorgeous. And these colors, they just work. I've, tried switching them out and kind of trying to come up with my own, and I didn't like them. So this is the one that I use. And then I know a lot of people have a hard time with Polychromos skin. So what I did was I took all of the colors that I use and I tried to find matching Polychromos. And that's not completely possible. You can mix colors to get different colors, but I'm just talking about, the base colors. So, okay. So for cream, I use ivory and cream in the Polychromos set. And if you look at them, I don't know if you can really see it. The ivory is much lighter and less yellow, but it still kind of has a yellow tint to it. So I like using them both, especially when it comes to blending it out. I like using the ivory over everything along with the white. And I like to use luminance or Prismacolor white. You can use the Polychromos one, but it won't change the color as much when you burnish, just because it's not as opaque. And then burnt ochre, I chose to use because it is similar to salmon pink. So for the Polychromos, I did not pick a brown. I just have light umber, and that's part of what Kaput Mortem Violet kind of looks like. And then burnt ochre looks like an orangey brown. So the light umber and salmon pink remind me of burnt ochre. And then medium flesh is most like the blush pink. Light flesh and cinnamon are both closest to light peach, and then cinnamon's closest to peach. Then Pompeian Red and Kaput Mortem Violet, to me, kind of have clay rose, light umber, and henna between the two of them, just because, this one has some brown for the light umber, and then it kind of looks like clay rose. If you look at it, it's actually very similar. I don't know, I think you can see. And yeah. And then the Pompeian Red, it has some pink, and then it has some red, like a henna. And that is just what I came up with, and then I tried it on this image the first time I colored it, and it worked. So, okay. Let's see. Yep, and that's craft paint. Oh, not completely dry. Craft paint dries a bit faster than regular acrylic paint. So, I will start with this side, and we'll paint that, and then we will work on the skin. And if you don't want to see the background done, if you already know how to do that, and it's nothing special for you, feel free to fast forward. Okay. Alrighty. Sorry about that, I was digging through my paintbrushes. So I'm just going to use a round paintbrush. I think this one's a number 6, but I found that in different brands, they're all different sizes for different numbers, so it really doesn't matter. And then I'm going to use a flat for the edges. And then I usually like to use craft paint, but I recently gave it all to my son because he has been trying to do art Sherpa tutorials with me, and I don't want him using my expensive paint, so I gave him all of my craft paint. So I am using Liquitex Basics, which I've never done before on a coloring page. I've only ever used craft paint. And if you wanted to, you could, create a gradient, so you know, dark to light or light to dark, on your background. I am not, just because this picture, I think it's going to have so many colors in it that I don't want too busy of a background. It'll just make it look crazy, I think. I think it'll be way too much. But you can do whatever you want. You can paint it, you know, neon pink or whatever color. It's all up to you. Or you can use soft pastels too, or watercolor. Really anything you want. The only reason that I wanted to do black acrylic paint is because it'll help make the colors pop. I think her dress and even his crown and her hair, I think is all just going to look gorgeous against an all black background. It'll make it pop. I'm going to leave her signature open right there. Because when I color it, you'll be able to see her signature at the bottom there. So if I paint over half of it will be missing, and there's really no reason. And if you want to have a, you know, pretty border or a clean border around it, you can always just use some masking tape to tape it off. And then I have a piece of paper underneath the edge so that I don't paint all over my desk, which I already have. So it really doesn't make a difference. But that's whatever. That's what I'm doing. And if you've never done this before, be sure to not overwork the paper with your brush too much, because it will start to pill. What that means is you'll start seeing the like chunks of your paper coming off into your paint. And then if you try to color over it, it falls apart, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. You don't want to know what I just did. Yeah. That's a, you know, LuLaRoe dress. So, yeah. I'm going to pause this video and go clean it up, and then I'll be back. Okay, so 10 minutes later. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Might be able to save my dress. Probably not, but that's my own fault. I shouldn't have been painting in it, and I shouldn't have just been trying to dip my brush right inside the tube, because it exploded on me. So now I'm using one of these little dollar store palettes. Okay, back to painting. And I just get as close to the edges as I can, and then I'll either take a super small flat brush, or maybe even a Posca, just to fill in the gaps. I'll probably use a flat brush so that it doesn't look uneven. If I use a Posca, it might show up a different shade. See how that went over? Yep, completely covered it. Knew it would. Yeah, my house is awfully quiet. Both my kids are off to school, and I'm, yeah, just coloring and cleaning and cooking and all that fun stuff. I should probably be cleaning right now, but I'm not, because I wanted to color. After yesterday's mess up with the skin, I was really discouraged, and I was like, oh my god, I should just throw the whole thing away and just not do any of this anymore. And yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to finish what I started. And I'm going to take my time with her skin this time. So just like the hair, you know, just the female character took me about 30 hours on the image, you know, this one. And that's kind of difficult to do on a recording. I've had a lot of people say that they like real time of the entire thing, so it's kind of difficult just to pick and choose, you know, what to show, what not to show, to speed it up, to not speed it up. And with, you know, taking 10 hours on her skin, kind of makes that difficult. Okay. When this dries, it'll probably look more even, and if not, we can just do another coat. But while it's wet, I don't want to work it anymore because it might go through the paper. Goes in my jar. Just completely empty water, but I'm just going to put it in there. Okay, so itty bitty little brush. And if you just, you know, dip it in it and gob it in there, it will do this, and you can't see it. Where is it? Oh, I moved it. Okay. It'll gob up, and then you won't be able to get the super little detailed edges. So you can just go like that, just so it's on the tip of your brush, and it won't be as gobbed up. And then I'm going to start down at the bottom. And if you prefer, you can always do this after you color too. I just wanted to do this so that I could talk about my little catastrophe with the skin, and because it helps something look complete. So as I said yesterday, I kind of wanted to give up and, you know, just scrap the whole project and not do this, because for me this is very time consuming. I don't know how long it's going to take you guys to color it, but I would love to know. So, you know, if it takes you just like, you know, 3 hours, let me know. If it takes you weeks and weeks and weeks, let me know. I'd love to know. I think I'm a very slow colorist, so that is why it takes me so long. But I did the background so that something looked finished, and I can say I've accomplished something with this picture. Because I absolutely love it, and it has been a labor of love. Let me tell you. I have colored her hair twice now, and now I have to color it again. So I got to start all over on her hair, and everything else on it I've just colored once. And since I'll be doing this hair on my own time and not on recording, it'll probably look better and it'll probably look closer to that first image that I colored. Man, that looks horrible up there. It's the paint. That won't matter as much though. When the whole thing's finished, it will look more even because there'll be so much more going on. And I think I might add some glitter on top of it anyway. I'm just hoping my power doesn't go out today. It's been really rainy and nasty, and I think we're supposed to have some thunderstorms, and my lights have been flickering. And as I said, if you don't want to watch this part, then you can just fast forward it. Some people might like to watch backgrounds and others might not. Others may be very experienced with painting the background and others may not. We had to move our parakeets around yesterday. So if you, I don't know, did I talk about my parakeets? It might have been the video that I had to erase because it was my mess up with her. But we have 6 parakeets and they have started laying eggs for the first time ever. We've had them all for about a year. And Blue is a girl and then Elsa is a boy. Oops. But they paired up and they have 1 egg. There was 3, but they weren't fertilized. So we're going to keep the 1 and raise it. And we'll have a little hand-fed, hopefully more tamed than our current Petco parakeets. Because these ones don't really let us hold them. They like to fly off and they're just much more skittish. And we think it's because they came from Petco and they weren't socialized at all. So we're going to have some hand-fed babies. And we had to move a different pair to a different cage because they were trying to take Blue's nest box with her egg in it. And we read online that when you have multiple pairs breeding in one cage, and by the way, it's a very big cage. Don't think I have all these birds in a bitty little cage. It's very big. But that sometimes they throw out each other's eggs and take over the nest boxes if they decide that they like one better. And I don't want that to happen, and I don't want to deal with or explain to my children if we have, some hurt little baby birds at the bottom of the cage. So, we had to take out Anna, who was a girl, and then Pineapple is the male, and he mated with 2 of them. He mated with Anna and Yoshi, but he seems to be more with Anna. So we took Anna and Pineapple out. They were the one that were trying to take over nest boxes. And they got their own cage now with all their own stuff. And no one's attacking anybody anymore. So now we have Yoshi and Camo in one. Yoshi's another mama. She hasn't laid an egg yet, but I'm pretty sure she's going to really soon. And then Blue and Elsa. And that's about it. I don't really have much going on. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I take care of my kids and my husband. And I am in college. Would like to be an elementary school teacher when my kids' age and schedule allows it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We got 2 little doggies. I got an all-black Pomapoo named Penny, and then a white, and there's a couple brown spots. His name is Gizmo, and he's a Maltese Jack Russell Terrier, supposedly. We're really not sure because from what we've seen online, he looks nothing like Jack Teese is what they call them. And yeah, so I don't know what he is. He's a cutie though. I think I posted some pictures over on my Instagram if you want to go look. Penny is 2 and Gizmo is 16 or so weeks now. And then another thing I like about acrylic paint backgrounds is you can have pencil over it. So if you really wanted to, which I might do, that actually sounds kind of fun. I might do like a moon in the back, kind of blurred out somehow, and then have some stars. Or, let's see, you could add some flyaway hairs from her, you know, with a Posca. If you've ever watched Dee Dee Willingham's videos, she does that a lot. She can color some color books, let me tell you. Gorgeous. And I don't know if I'm, you know, allowed to mention techniques or things that other YouTubers use, but to be real, I learned everything I know about coloring from YouTube. And so, you know, I've adapted things and I've changed things that suit my style, and you know, kind of came up with my own color combinations and things like that. But there's a lot of ideas and things that we come up with that are from other videos and tutorials that we've seen. And if you're self-taught like I am, and you watched everything you know from YouTube, then that might just be the way it is. You know, I can't just say that, oh, the way I blend color pencils is just how I blend them, because no, I probably saw it somewhere, and it's probably a combination of, you know, a whole bunch of different YouTubers' techniques. So don't feel bad if you're using other people's stuff. Just, you know, if you're using something specific, you know, from someone's channel, just try to credit them or tag them on social media so they can see it. I have a friend on, I think Facebook, yeah, Facebook, and then she's also on my Instagram, and I'm on hers. But someone, I guess, had taken a picture she colored and claimed it as their own. And that's not cool. These take us a long time to do, and with the internet and the way things are now, it's like, come on. Just, if you want to say you colored something, then color it yourself. Or try to color the same picture and then credit them, you know? Don't just try to take over, completely say you tried to color, you know, that you colored their picture. Sorry, I can't talk today. Okay, I did that. Oh, his hair. In his head. This weekend is my son Christopher's 6th birthday. So we're all excited about that. Well, actually his birthday is the 26th. But he had some good friends that couldn't make it on that day because it's their little girl's birthday the next day. So we are doing it on this Saturday. We're going to Chuck E. Cheese. And he's also in football, so we got that this weekend too. After coloring this background and looking at it, I think I like using the craft paint better than like heavy body student grade paint. I think it looks smoother. Maybe it's because of the type of paper. Maybe it's because it's so heavy that it's thick, it takes longer to dry. Well, I guess it's not going through at all. Let's see on the back. Because the paper just kind of looks like it's not liking it very well. But it's also still wet. Just remember to use as little of a brush as you need. If the brush that I'm using is too big, then go right ahead and use a smaller one. If you want to use a humongous one, and you can. If you want to use a marker, you can use an alcohol marker too. I don't have any water-based markers, so I don't know how they work or how opaque they are, because I don't have any. But I'm sure you could use a black water-based marker too. Alright, so my tablet died and I was talking to myself for a good 10-15 minutes. So what I was saying when the last video cut off is that you can use whatever size paintbrush you are comfortable with. Don't feel like you need to use a flat one at all like I did. You can use whatever size you want to or need to in whatever shape. And now that it was all dry, I'm just going back over with another layer in a big flat brush just to kind of smooth it out a little bit because it was really blotchy. And then after that, we will get started with the skin. And the paper is starting to buckle up here really bad. So I'm going to leave that side alone. And come back over here. Oops. I went over her hair a little bit there, but that's okay. Because pencil goes over acrylic paint, so we can just go right over it and fix it. Super excited. I should have a monstrous box of acrylic paint coming today or the next day from Budeck. I got a whole bunch of different colors and retarder and paint extender. Both of those make the paint go further and make it dry slower. So yeah, I got that, and then I got Winsor & Newton Galleria acrylic paint. I think it's like their student range, kind of like the Cotman watercolors, which I absolutely love. I can't tell the difference between them, and I don't even want or need to try an artist grade watercolor because those are awesome. And I hope that the paint is the same way. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll know that I also have begun acrylic painting. Very new, very, very new. I've probably done five or six total pictures. One was not from a tutorial and it looked absolutely horrible. I will be painting over it. But I do like the ones that I did from the tutorials. Okay, so now we have that. It does need to dry because I mean, I guess it works for a right-handed person too, but I'm left-handed and I will rest my arm right on that paint and it will get everywhere. So, just let that dry, and if you like, we can talk about some colors some more. So again, I'm using Polychromos, and I have Burnt Ochre 187, Medium Flesh 131, Light Flesh 132, Pompeian Red 191, Cream 102, Caput Mortuum Violet, 263. Cinnamon, 189. And Ivory is 103. And then whites. I have a Polychromos, Prismacolor, and Luminance. You do not need them all. You just need one, or a blender pencil. I like using white to blend more than a blending pencil for skin, just for skin, because the white changes the color. So I will color the skin way, way darker than I want it. And when I add the white, it just makes it look like real skin. I think that's the secret to it. I know a lot of people struggle with skin. Blend it out with a white. I promise it'll help. And so does burnishing. Layering is will work too, but it just takes more and more and more. Burnishing pushes the pigment around and you don't have to do as many layers. But if you can't put pressure on your hands like that, then again, do whatever you need to do. Do what works best for you and gives you the look that you want. I hope the video and sound quality is okay. I've started using my Kindle Fire. We moved a couple months ago, and there's so many things that I just could not find. And I'm like, where's all the stuff? And we cleaned out the garage this weekend, and I found my Kindle Fire. So now I'm recording on that so that I can use my phone when I'm recording for hours. Okay. Not even close to being dry yet. Okay, well, I guess what I can do is we can look at the different whites while that's drying and see what the differences are. This is just my sheet that has all the colors for different parts of the dress, the hair, the skin. Okay, let's just do what you've probably seen a million times, and I'm just going to do it with a pencil because this is quick, and yeah. I'm going to draw 3 circles. And then I'm just going to quickly, and I mean like quickly, color in skin, how I would skin, with Polychromos, and then I'm going to use each of the whites and show you how they blend out. I'm going to try my best to use the same amount of pressure on each circle. That was the darkest. I put more than violet. A little bit of burnt ochre. I don't use too much burnt ochre just because it will come out kind of orangey. You just have to watch your pressure. And if you're like me and you're really heavy-handed, hold the pencil further back. There's times when I color, let's see if I can, I might have to zoom the camera out. I hold it almost way back here. And then super itty-bitty detailed spots, sometimes I have to get closer, but with more and more experience I get, and the better that I get, I can hold it back further for detailed places too. It just takes practice. Don't compare yourself to anybody. And don't feel bad if you're, say, looking at a reference photo and it doesn't look anything like it. It takes practice. It takes a really long time. I've been coloring for 2 years now, I would say, being serious about it. And I'm not a master colored pencil artist, I still have a lot of learning to do. Medium flush. And like I said, obviously this isn't going to look exactly like we want it to because it's super quick. I could never color a face in this amount of time. Okay. That's cream, cinnamon. Normally I'd have another 3 or 4 layers of each color, but that's not what we're going to do right now. Okay, and I need to sharpen my Prismacolor. Okay, so this one, I am pushing pretty hard on this pencil right now. I'm surprised it hasn't broke. And I'm using a Prismacolor. It'll happen. Okay. So there isn't a whole lot of pigment down, so just be aware of that when you're looking at it. It will blend out smoother. Okay, so Prisma, Poly, Luminance, white Polychromo. Now the luminance. Oops. Okay. So if you can really see that, as I said, I'm using my tablet, so I really hope the quality is okay. But the Polychromos, you can still see the tooth of the paper, and it still looks really gritty. Prismacolor, pretty smooth. It's not all the way there, but that could also, you know, be varying pressure and the layers below. And then the luminance. In my opinion, I think the luminance looks the best. It doesn't look like whited out, but it blended it and it looks smooth. Prismacolor kind of makes it look too white because of the wax, and then Polychromos really didn't do anything. So my preference is the luminance. Okay, let's check on this. Good enough. I'll just put this under my hand. Good enough. Okay. Trying to get this as close as possible so you can really see what I'm doing. I don't like to see what happens if I zoom in. Tablet won't even let me just zoom in. That's okay. I'll just pull my thing closer. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is you want to take a super sharp Caput Mortem Violet. I'll put that down here, and I'll move it when I need to. Okay, and the good thing, at least I think it's a good thing, with Mariola's pictures is that she does have some shading. They're considered grayscale. They may not be as gray as some of like the Amazon books that we buy, but it's still grayscale. Hold on, I'm gonna fix my light. I'm left-handed, so if I have my light on the left side, my hand blocks it. Okay, let's see how that goes. I have white paint on my pencil for some reason. Oops. But okay, so yeah, there's some shading. So really what that does is it gives you guidelines. It helps you get started. So there's some shading here, in here, and then in her ear. So I'm just going to start at the top. So let's start with her ear. Small circles, and you should be using a really sharp pencil so you can control how dark it is and where. Now, a lot of people say keep your pencils sharp, keep them sharp, keep them sharp. But we all know some of these colored pencils are really expensive, and sometimes you just can't sharpen them all the time, you know? I'm starting to get some shorter pencils, and I'm not going to keep them sharp, because if I do, I'm going to run out. And I just bought a whole bunch of paint, and I bought a couple coloring books, and I can't buy any more replacement pencils right now. So sometimes you just, you gotta work with what you got. And then there's also some shading right here for her cheekbone. And then her hair leaves a shadow right here. Some of the most important parts about shading a face are the highlights and the shadows. So if you, like right here, you can see her hair, and then I left this part blank, and then the shadow. That little spot in there that's going to be kind of act as a highlight makes a huge difference, because it adds depth. It'll make it look like the hair is sitting on her face instead of flat with her face. And then same with her eye right here. There's that little part right there that if you put the shadow in the right spot, it looks like her eye, like you can see her, what's this called? Like lower eyeline? I don't know. It'll probably come to me. I know there's a word for it. Ooh, it just started raining again and got really windy. And her nose. And part of where I messed up before was definitely her nose, because it was like I cut off part of it because I couldn't see it. And it just looked off. And if you use a light hand, you should really be able to fix any mistakes. You can erase it. I have I think it's an Ohuhu eraser from Amazon. It was like $8 or something, and it works great. It does what I need it to do. Some pencils erase better than others, but if you use light pressure, you can probably erase it. Okay. And if you look closely on her collarbone too, you can see that there is part right here that's white, and it's shadowed above and then below it. Again, that helps add depth. Some people just don't like grayscale. I personally really love it. It helps give you kind of guidelines on where to shade, and I think it helps with, I don't know, I just love the way they look. It's not that one is easier or the other, I just love the look, and I like that it kind of gives you guidelines of where to shade, because sometimes I don't want to think about lighting and all that other stuff. I just want to color. Rounds off her shoulder there. And then let's take a look at this one. So, you can see in there is that there's some shading also down here and right here, but not as much. But you still want it to be there. Okay. A little bit more on the neck. Okay, that's good for the first layer of that. And now we're going to use burnt ochre. And just remember, light pressure. Coloring skin with Prismacolors is a little bit different, just because you don't have to be as precise. You can move the pigment around when you blend it out. Polychromos, you can a little bit if you use luminance or Prismacolor white or a blender pencil or odorless mineral spirits. But if you're just layering, you don't really move the pigment. It kind of just stays where you put it in the first place. So that's just something to be aware of. Take your time and just keep layering. I know some people struggle with Polychromos, but you know, honestly, I think I like them better than Prismacolors completely. I started with the 72 set, I believe, of Crayola Color Escapes, and they're also called the Signature Series. I think they're the exact same thing. The one I had on Amazon just said Color Escapes. And they were great for me. I still remember my first book. I think it was Debbie McCumber's Come Home to Color. And I also had Enchanted Forest by Johanna Basford. And I remember I shaded a tree. And I had shading in it was a gradient. It just had, you know, like from light to dark green. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, oh my goodness. I can't believe I just did that with a colored pencil. And yeah, and they worked great for I'd say about 8 months, and then I started to feel like I was getting past what they were capable of doing, and that's just my own opinion. And then I got the 72 set of Prismacolors, and that worked great too. I can dig out some pictures that I did with that set, and they're pretty. My skill level at the time was probably what made the pictures not pretty, but the colors work fine. So if you can only afford, you know, the 72 set of Prismacolors or, you know, the 36 set of Polychromos, it might be limiting, sure, but you can layer and mix colors just like you do paint. And if you're a painter, you know how color works already. You know, you know what you need to mix what, and you can do that with colored pencils too. I think it takes longer to learn with colored pencils because you have the color right in front of you, you know? I have burnt ochre, why do I need to take colors to mix it? But if you have a small set, then you won't have all those colors. Okay, that's it for burnt ochre, I think. Okay, we did kaput, mortem, violet, burnt ochre. Let's do Pompeian red. And mine is pretty dull, so I'm going to sharpen it. And sometimes I get ahead of myself and I might not always put the little card out that says the name, and I apologize for that. I just start to color and talk and I get into it and I just forget about it. The sharper the pencil, the more precise you can be with where the color's going down. Okay. And if you are watching this, let me know what picture you want after this. If you have a book that you like or a picture that you really wanted to see colored, if I have that book or have the PDF, I will do that. So far, I've just, kind of picked pictures that I've really been wanting to color, and I'm completely open to you guys requesting pictures for me to do. Maybe I should do a collection video. I know I did a flip through of all my PDFs, but maybe I should do one of all of my paper books, so you guys can see what I have. Okay, and there's Pompeian red. And now we're going to do medium flesh. medium flesh. And as you'll probably notice, as we move through the colors, I spend less and less time on each color. And the reason for that is once you have the shadows down, it's much easier to navigate your page and say, oh, okay, so I have highlights here, this is dark, and you kind of know where you want colors at. So now I'm using cinnamon, and this is the last color before light flesh. And then with light flesh we are going to do a couple layers, and then I think I'm going to do ivory and do a couple layers, and then we'll do some white. In the cinnamon, I'm going over everything, all of the skin, including the light areas, but very, very, very lightly. That way that there's some color down and it's not just, the white of the paper. Okay. And don't be scared if it looks too red or too yellow and, just doesn't look like the color that you're going for, because it will change. We still aren't done yet. We got cream, ivory, and white still after light flesh. And then we have more layers. Oops. Sorry, I'm zoomed in so close that if I move the paper at all, it goes out of frame. And again, with the light flesh, I'm going over the entire skin, all of it. And it might look like I'm just going straight up and down, but I'm doing this. It's probably hard to see the depth on camera, but I am going in circles. Even if I end up going really fast and just over the whole area, I'm still going in circles. Alright, there's light flesh. Now let's do cream. And again, with the cream, we're going to go over the whole thing. And we can go a little bit more heavy-handed where the highlights are. So like right here will be lighter, so I'm going to go over that one more, and right here on the collarbone. But still, you want to use pretty light pressure. But if you notice, as you're applying the cream, we are starting to get a skin looking color. It doesn't look all red and blotchy. The more and more layers you have, the smoother it gets. Alright, and there's cream. And now we're going to do ivory, which is basically just a lighter cream. It's kind of an off-white color, at least in this pencil set. And we're just going super light pressure and just covering all of it. Oops. Okay. And now, again, we're going to go back to the darkest color and work our way through all of the colors again. So I could put more than violet. And if you need a defined line anywhere, it's okay to use the sharpest end on the side of your pencil and make that line a little bit more defined. I have to do that all the time. Like right here, I want to be able to see her jawline. And if you ever see me kind of doing this, like moving the pencil, what I'm doing is I'm rotating it. It keeps the tip of the pencil sharper for longer. And if I need to get in a super tiny spot, I'll turn it to the sharpest side. Okay, did all that one. And, oh, no, I did not do all that one. I didn't do this whole area. Oops. See, I told you, I got ahead of myself. And we're still going in circles. And you're only doing those parts that you want that dark shadow to be. And the cheekbone is one of those, or not the cheekbone, the collarbone's one of those places that kind of has a defined line. Get in behind the lace or the trim of her sleeve. Okay. Take a drink of coffee. Okay, so that was complete more violet. I think it needs some more pink. Ooh. Do I want that kind of pink, which is cinnamon, or do I want that pink? I think I need medium flesh. Cinnamon has more of a earthy orange brown color, and I think it already has a lot of that. If you look, that whole color right there is kind of cinnamon. And then I think after this color, I'm going to do a light layer of white and not burnishing it, just a light layer. Okay. And it's kind of starting to look the way we want it to look. And now I'm going to take my white luminance. Again, it doesn't have to be a luminance. It can be a Prismacolor or, you know, the lightest color you have. If you want, you can just use light peach. And I am not burnishing. I am just going over it super, super light to lighten up the color. And that'll kind of tell us a little bit more of where we're at in the process. And I should sharpen it, but I'm not going to because it's super tiny. You want to use about medium pressure. You don't want to go super light, but we're also not burnishing. And if you use about medium pressure, it will help blend out the colors a little bit. And hopefully you're starting to see it all kind of come together and look more like you want it to look. I've done a lot of skin coloring on my channel. I love coloring people. I have found that I do not like patterns, or really, if I do a mandala, it has to be with like gel pens or markers and something kind of mindless. It's just not for me. I love coloring people. I love the clothes, the hair, skin, all of it. So what I'm probably going to do after this one is maybe I'll take out one of my other books that's not just a person and color that. Maybe Kirby Rosanna's book, or I think I have one Hannah Carlson book. To be completely honest, it's not my favorite style. I enjoy looking at the books. I think they're beautiful. I personally just don't really enjoy coloring them. Same with Johanna Basford. When I first started, I did. I love that book. It's just not my style anymore. I like coloring people. So if you can see the difference, oh yeah, you can definitely see. This part we have not gone over with the white, and this one we did. It completely changed the color, and it almost looks like skin. And then this one, it's just, you know, it's super red and blotchy. It doesn't really look like skin yet. So the white makes all of the difference. It really, really does help. So if you're struggling with skin, try blending it out with a white pencil. And don't be afraid to use crazy colors. I did one picture, I think it was Mystic Art Mirrors, and she had like an aqua colored skin, like blue-green colored skin. And then I have a skin picture with skin that's just like this tone, and I used black, grape, henna, salmon pink, gray lavender, peach, and light peach, and it looks gorgeous. I love it. So just, you know, play with it. If you want to use the more traditional ones and just take the colors that I'm using, go for it. Or if you want to come up with kind of your own combo, go for it. Do whatever you want to do. Whatever stresses you out the least and makes coloring enjoyable. Alright, so it's starting to look like our finished, like my goal. So now, do this a little bit more. Oh yeah, and when you're blending, if you kind of turn your paper or blend at a different angle or direction than you were when you colored, it blends out better too. I always forget about that myself. Okay. Good. And it's not burnished, so I'm going to keep going over it. And what I did with the first picture is I used a lot of layers of light peach. And I just kept going over it and kept going over it. You're pretty much covering the whole thing, but you want to keep, like right here, how there's some definition. You don't want to, you know, just color like this because it'll pull some of that down. Just stay in the areas. Do little areas at a time. So right now we're doing down here, your womanly parts, and yeah. And then when I want to do this part, I'll do that with up here. So that way I'm not pulling the color down and just kind of making a blur. And I'm using about the same pressure that I was using with the white. So I'd say about medium. The pencil's getting short, so it's making my hand stay in the shadow. And when you're doing skin, if you find that it looks super orange or red or yellow, whatever color you're seeing that's too prominent, you can use the complementary color on the color wheel, and it will tone it down and neutralize it. So if you are coloring skin and it looks orange, you would want to have a blue. Now, I don't really like to use blue in skin for neutralizing color. I would say a yellow green or like a bright green, because sometimes it looks orange but really it's red. There's more red in it, so the blue might make it look off, unless you want a blue shadow or a blue tint to it. So chances are, if you're using the colors that I am and it looks off, add a little bit of yellow green. Okay, so we just did a whole layer of light peach, and now let's see, I don't want to bend them, but there's this one and here's this one. We're just looking at the shoulder. They're getting there. It's getting pretty close. And then her face is also getting there. So just keep going. I know it's time consuming. Coloring skin is a process, and that's okay. If you like to color people and like to color skin, then there you go. When I originally colored that first page, I did not have a YouTube channel yet. That was something I decided to do later on. And now that I'm doing it, I really wish I would have recorded that picture the way that it is, because I absolutely love it. And no matter what I do, no matter how many times I try, I cannot get things to the exact same color that they are on that one. I can get close, but I cannot get it to look exactly like it was. And that's so sad because I love it. But this part is definitely the most like the original. So I think that means we need to add more white. And if you, oh, my daughter's bus. Right, so this part of the video is filmed on a different day than the previous part, and so all I've done is I've worked a little bit on the shoulder off camera so that I could try to get to the look that I wanted, and then I would show you guys on the rest of her how I got that look. And I think I've got it pretty close to how I want it. See if I can do this part. And then it's kind of hard to see because, you know, the hair is not done, the dress isn't done, so it kind of looks different. But we kind of block it off. I think I'm happy with it. I think I'm glad with where it went, finally. Something I've learned while redoing a picture that I've already partially colored is that I was making it stressful on myself. I've never used a reference photo before just because it stresses me out if I can't get things exactly the same, because I am a perfectionist. So I think it's been stressing me out, putting a lot of pressure on me to get this picture to look exactly like that other one because I thought I did such a good job on it. So yeah, and I'm not gonna do that as much now. Now that I realize that I'm doing that, I just need to chill and have fun coloring this beautiful picture again. It's okay if it doesn't look exactly the same. I'll always still have that other one if I end up liking it better, and then I'll have 2 copies and I can decide which one I want to, you know, keep or possibly hang up. I've never hung up a coloring page before, but I know a lot of people do, and I'm thinking of having a couple frames in my upstairs hallway or my bedroom and kind of rotating out coloring pages. Something that I was thinking about doing. So I'm just going over all of the shadowed areas again with Caput Mortem Violet. And I did push a little hard with the whites. Some areas the color, it doesn't want to lay down as easily. That's okay, because we're almost done with the skin. And then another thing I realized, the difference between the 2 pictures is they have a different fixative on them. So when I feel this one, I just did this one before I, you know, started this because I reprinted it, and I had the Krylon workable fixative, and I can feel kind of a texture. This one, it feels a lot smoother. And this might sound weird, but if you've ever used fixative, you'll know what I'm talking about. To figure out which one I used, I smelled them. I smelled my paper. And this one had no odor, and this one is absolutely horrible. This one was done with Krylon workable fixative. You can get it, I think, even at Walmart or Amazon. It's like $5-6 a can if you buy it online. And then the other page is brush and pencil texture fixative. It comes in the pack with like powder blender and titanium white. I don't use that. I bought it thinking I would, and I just haven't used it yet. I need to. And that one is made specifically for colored pencils. So I think that also makes a difference with how the pencils lay down and just the color you get. It's a different texture and it's a different product. So, yeah. That's just something I realized yesterday. Oh yeah, and I think I said this the other day when I was filming, but I bought a massive amount of acrylic paint from Budeck, and I also ordered some white ink, because if you know who Jem over at the Color Cave, if you have ever seen any of her videos. She is awesome. And she has a great accent. And she's so funny and she's so sweet and she's very down to earth. And she's awesome to watch and listen to. And she recently did a video in the Thomas Kincaid Disney book, and she basically whited out the lines with white ink, and it made her colored image look almost identical to the reference image, because those books have like a Thomas Kincaid picture next to it and then the one that we color, and her picture looked absolutely amazing. I'm not sure if she finished it or not, but the parts that she did, it was absolutely gorgeous. I thought it looked better than the image they gave you. But yeah, so I could not help myself, and I went out and bought some white ink, and I am going to try the same thing. Oops. Got the light on the wrong side, sorry. I was putting my left-handed self in the way, so it made my hand shadow the picture. Sorry about that. I gotta remember to do that. Okay. Yeah, if I can figure out how to share a channel and have the link, I will put Jem's channel in the description too, if you want to go check out that video with the ink. Where we live, there's been an awful, like, 24-hour cold going around, and me and my husband had it first. Then my son had it, and he missed a day of school already. School just started like a week ago. So he's missed a day of school, and then today my daughter woke up not feeling too good. But she insisted that she was going to school. So, yeah, and I took them to the doctor yesterday, and the receptionist was sick. She said all her kids were sick. I think my son's teacher mentioned that she wasn't feeling good. There's several kids at the bus stop that are sick. So it is just going around already, and school just started. Okay. And I'm kind of using medium pressure. As you probably noticed, my hand is much... Oh, I'm not even on camera. My hand is much closer to the base of the pencil. If I want light pressure, I hold it way back here. And then harder pressure, I hold it down closer to the tip. Okay, there's our cinnamon. Don't think I added any Pompeian red yet. And then after this color, we are going to go over it very, very, very lightly with white again. And then we're going to do several layers of ivory. And then we're done. With Prismacolors, I like to use the white luminance because it's so opaque and it blends better. But for some reason with Polychromos, I think that opaque white is too much. Maybe it's just because the colors in Polychromos are more natural looking. I'm not sure what it is, but that's just something that I found. So in the rest of this video, I think we're going to do the eyes and the lips, and then we're going to call it a day. The next video will be her dress, and then we will get started on nail. Alright. Definition under her nose. Okay. Now we're going to use a little bit of white. Just use super, super light layers. What we're really just trying to do is even out the lines and soften any edges between the colors. And kind of change the color a little bit, make it a little bit more opaque. Not opaque, white. Not quite enough color on her nose. Okay, so we did super, super light. And now we're going to take ivory. And do a couple light layers, and then we are going to burnish. If you can't burnish, you know, if your mobility or, you know, any pain stops you from burnishing, then you don't have to. That is completely okay. If you use odorless mineral spirits, you can do that. If you use a blender pencil, you can do that. Or if you leave it with some of the tooth showing, you can do that too. I've seen some beautiful work that has the tooth of the paper showing. Another thing you can do if you're not able or don't like to or don't want to burnish is you can use a base. You can use either, you know, alcohol markers or watercolors, neocolors, whatever you have and whatever you want to use. And that fills in the tooth of the paper. And then you can just shade it with your pencils. It makes it go by a lot faster, and it takes off some of the pressure from your hand. You don't have to work as hard. Oh wow, I wasn't on camera that whole time. I'm sorry. But all I was doing was just going over all of her face, all of the areas. If I have any white of the paper showing, I'm just going a little bit harder over that area to fill it in. Making sure I go over the whole thing so it's all blended out. Okay. Let's take a look at a different angle. Okay, so I'm not entirely happy with it yet. Especially around the eyes, I see lots of areas that I didn't quite go over. Alright. I think we are done. Yep. I like it. Okay. And then if you want to add more layers, go for it. You can do whatever you want to do. Yep, and all feels smooth. Okay, now we're gonna do the eyes. So when I look at this one, they are green with a dab of black and white Posca in there. And then a black Polychromos for eyelashes. Or a Prismacolor. It really doesn't matter which one, whichever one you have laying around. And to pick the colors, I'm just grabbing them. I know a lot of people really plan it out, but I really don't do that. Sometimes I'll test it out on a piece of paper just to kind of get an idea of what I want. But I just like grabbing pencils and seeing what happens. For me, that's how I learn. I learn by watching people color, of course, but I also, to learn colors, I enjoy doing it myself. And for these itty bitty guys, you probably want to sharpen your pencils as much as they will, as sharp as they can get. Alright, I'm going to bring this in so close that it's probably going to look off. Bring that down. Okay. So as we can see, there's already a little tiny bit of shading on here. You can see that she's got a dark line around the iris and then some lines around there. So really what we're going to do is I'm going to color the whole thing with the lightest color. Oh, and by the way, I'm using permanent green. I know it's hard to see because of the gold. Cobalt blue greenish and deep cobalt blue. Green. Sorry, deep cobalt green. So I started with the lightest color. And let's just do both eyes. Okay. Now we're going to flick, just as we would hair, little lines that go towards the center of the pupil. And if you go into the highlight, that's okay, because if you have some white acrylic paint or a Posca, you can fix that super easily. Okay. Since these eyes are so small, I'm not going to worry too much about all the little details. They're so tiny. Okay. Oops. Pushed a little bit too hard there, my pencil broke. And then back with the lightest. And now I'm pushing pretty hard. And then I'm going to take the dark green and kind of make a border. And that's it. And then I'm going to find my white and black Posca. Make sure you shake them. Do black first so we can let it dry. Okay. There we go. And while that's drying, we will do the lips. And for the lips, I'm going to use Rose Carmine, Fuchsia, and Pink Carmine. So they're all fairly light colors, and I just randomly picked. I looked at the picture I colored, and then I just grabbed some colors. Okay, so this is Rose Carmine. I'm just filling in the whole area. And then Fuchsia. Do the dark areas first. So underneath her upper lip, the corners. And then the darkest one is Pink Carmine. Oops. So I have my tablet super, super close. Okay. going to take the lightest color again, which was rose carmine, and I'm going to push harder and go over all of her lip. Okay. And then just because I'm going to grab that blue that we put into her eye and do line in the middle. And outline a little bit. Not too hard though, we don't want to turn blue. And then go over it again with rose carmine. You could have just used black to do that, or a darker shade of red, but the pinkish and the blue will kind of make it turn into a purpley color. Alright. And then put a dot right there, right there, right there. And then I'm going to take my, sorry, like that. Then I'm going to take my finger. Did that work out? No, it didn't work. Too small of an area. So, instead of using a Posca, I'm going to take my white jelly roll and stick in some highlights. And then dab it out a little bit with my finger. So it's still there, but it's not as light as it was. And then now to highlight on her eyes. Okay. Alright. And that's it. Oh no, it's not it. Eyelashes. And if you want to, if the white of her eye kind of looks dingy, you can, take a white pencil and kind of fix that. Okay. So, I'm super close and this pencil's tiny. I need to find an extender. Okay. I was wondering what that noise was. My coffee mug was scraping on the lamp, my light. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Very lightly, just going on her eye line, on the top and bottom of her eye. If you want to go all the way around or make it darker or use a different color, then by all means go for it. And now the eyelashes. So we're going to make a C motion so that it looks like they're coming. No, that's not sharp enough. I'm going to use Prismacolor. Alright, so my tablet just powered back on after dying. So back to what I was saying, you want to do a kind of a C motion. I don't know if you can see it at that angle, but I'm going like this so that it looks like the eyelashes are coming out from the eye line and they're not just lines sitting on top. Ooh, I got one eyelash in there that looks really wonky. I might be able to fix it. Remember, all eyelashes are different lengths, different thicknesses. So really, you can do whatever you want with it. If you want her to have heavy makeup on, you can even give her some eyeshadow. can give her different colored eyelashes and do whatever you want with it. It is your coloring page. And I don't like how those look. I think it's because I burnished and it made it difficult for the pencil to go down. Where is my eraser doohickey? This is an eraser pencil, by the way. This one's Arteza, but I know Faber Castell also has some. I think Faber Castell had a pack of 2, and it was the same cost for like 6 of the Arteza ones, so I bought those ones. Now I'm just using a regular pencil to see what happens. I think I made her eyelashes way too thick. That's okay. We'll live. Right. So, let's back it up a little bit. Or a lot. And you'll notice that once you get the eyes and the lips done, it brings their whole face to life. It just makes a huge difference. So, there's that one. And that one. I'm happy with it. I like it. So, alrighty. We have now done the skin, and then next video we will work on her dress. Aw, man. Her hand. Right there. That's okay. So next video we'll come back and we'll finish her hand, and then we will do the dress. So, alrighty. I hope everyone has a great